Morning. Good day. So where are you right now? Are you in a place where it doesn't seem like you are getting anywhere? You're not growing, you're not gaining anything. Do you find yourself there? What are you focusing on? Are you focusing on you or are you focusing on somebody else? Have you changed what you're doing? Have you tried doing something else? Have you tried doing something more? If not, and you don't change anything compared to what you're normally doing, I don't think you can expect any different result. I've heard that the definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over and expecting the result to be different. And it actually makes a lot of sense. You got to put in the effort and you got to run. Hebrews 12 verse 1 and 2 says, "Let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith." So you need to run. If you're in a race, my friend, you need to run. And how are you running is an important factor as well. Are you looking at your goal? Are you looking at what you're looking to do? Or are you comparing your race to where you are versus where somebody else is? Stop doing that. It doesn't make any sense to do that. Because number one, those people aren't in your race. They're not in the same place of their race as you are in your race either. So you can't compare two people's races. The goal might be the same, but you got to use what you have. You got to use your abilities, your skills, what's in your position. You got to use your stuff. And if you're a little bit unsure maybe how all this gets to do is, it takes time. You need to think. You can't. It won't just come. You need to invest. You need to sit. You need to think about who you are, what you are. Proverbs 3 verse 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. And that's important for if you see somebody else seems to be ahead of you in a race. Don't lean on your own understanding. They might not be. They might be so far behind in their race because their race is maybe much longer than yours. A different race is a different race. You see what I'm saying? So that's why you can't compare the two. So trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. And then if you're looking to find the tools, it says, in all your ways acknowledge him and he shall direct your paths. Some of the translation says he'll make your path smooth or straight. So he'll ease you into it. He'll gradually equip you as you're going. But trust him in all your ways. He will show you the way. He will direct your way. He will put you on the right path. If you're stuck and you don't know where you are, what do I have? I don't know what to do differently. God will help you get to that space where you need to do something different. The thing is about, if you look at somebody who runs a race, running marathons or sprints or whatever kind of running they're running, those oaks are never just chill. Yes, they take off seasons to rest, but they also in that time, I'm sure they reflect a lot about the last season or the last races or stuff like that. So the thing is about it though, is they don't just chill there. They're always doing something to improve. They're always trying to get a better time. They're always trying to, run better, run more efficiently, run smarter, whatever it is. And the end goal is normally, as far as I can see, if I look at these guys, they're not just running to beat this oak next to him. They look at that world record, and that's what they're running for. They want to set a new world record. So yes, that world record was set by somebody at some stage. No problem with that. No problem with looking at it. But that record right over there, it's not running next to you. It's not running with you. It's not chasing you. In your mind, you can chase it because you've set that. But when you go, I want to do better than that, you're already technically setting your own goal. So you're not racing against that guy anymore and that world record anymore. You're running against a time that you set for yourself. That's the important thing over here. And once you realize that, then you can start working on this stuff. Oh man, I'm telling you, are you doing something in your life to get a better time, to reach a higher sales target, to maybe finish your work more effectively? I like also what 1 Corinthians, it's written here in chapter 9, verse 24 and 25. It says, do you not know that those who run in a race, that everybody runs, all run, but one receives the prize. So run in such a way, it says here, that you may obtain it. And everyone who competes for the prize is temperate in all things. Now, they're referring to people of the world here, so they run to obtain a perishable crown, but we run for an imperishable crown. That's the benefit that we have of the races that we run. And we've got to run our races in our lives to such an effect that it's for God's glory and for the glory of the kingdom. And if you do it that way, you know, the race that we still run, the benefit that we have over here is that there's enough space for everybody. You just got to choose to run that race. It's oh man. But along the way, we still have this life. And that's what I'm saying. You've got to learn to run. What do you have, you know? An interesting guy that comes up here is where David gets to the army that's fighting the Philistines, and we got Saul down there screaming and crying and shouting and stuff. But the important bit that stood out for me here again this morning is that when David spoke to Saul, you know, and he saw, okay, this guy was ready, he clothed him. He clothed him. He gave, the Bible says that, you know, Saul put his armor on him. He put a bronze helmet on his head. He put on a chest plate. He tied on his sword. And then it says that David tried to walk with this. It's actually quite detailed, you know. It says, it's 1 Samuel 17. It says, so Saul clothed David with his armor, and then he put a bronze helmet on his head. He also clothed him in a coat of mail. David fastened his sword to his armor and tried to walk, for he had not tested them. Then David said to Saul, and this is the king, right? So you got a shepherd boy telling the king over here at the time. David said to Saul, I can't fight in these. I'm not used to them. So David took them off. So he took it off because he couldn't wear it. Somebody else was trying to put their stuff on him and it couldn't work. So it's good to listen to advice as well, what other people tell you. But it might not work for you 100%. You need to learn to adapt and adjust that to how you run your race, to what's your abilities, what's your skills, what you have, what you are capable of doing. You need to adjust that according to that. Then the Bible goes on here and says, then David, well, still speaking about David, it says, then he took his staff in his hand, and he chose for himself five stones from the brook. And he put them in a shepherd's bag, in a pouch which he had, and in his sling with his hand. He drew near to the Philistine. So important this is. So everything that it follows up in here is what David had, and it was in his hands. It was his pouch, it was his staff, it was his things, his own stuff. So he looked at what he had. He used his own things. You know, when he was questioned by Saul before this, the first things that David brought up was his victories he already had. He said, but God already saved me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear. Now, the important thing about that is that this didn't happen. David manned up. He was a strong fighting guy. So he physically had to fight that lion. He had to fight that bear. He fought. Shepherds were tough folks protecting them sheep. I'll tell you that. Don't think a shepherd boy is, we say that word lightly, I think. But he physically had to fight, and God gave him the victory. Because he put in the effort, and my friend, you need to start running as if your life depended on it. God will come through for you, but you must run your own race. First, you need to find out what is God's goal for you. What is God's goal for your race? And then you focus on that, and then you start running that race, as I said, as if your life depended on it. And then when you start, and as you're busy doing this, then you start asking the questions, what do you have? Because you've got to use what you have. What you have, who you are, what your characters is, what skills and abilities and everything that you have is the best equipment to run efficiently for your race, your own race. You shouldn't be sitting there going, what don't I have? That'll come along the way if you need to have it. God will come through for you. God will give it to you. So don't focus on what you don't have. Run your race and focus running your race with what you have.